there everybody, and welcome to the Speed Paint. Today I am drawing a character for a new dress-up game on Roblox that's not out yet, but is currently in development. It's called Eldrich High, and it seems really cool. I am in the server. It's a public Discord server. You can absolutely join it. I will put the link in the description of this video, but I'm just so excited for the release of this game. We don't know when it's going to be, and we don't want to rush the team because it's a small development team, but they're all super kind, so I got inspired and I wanted to draw a character for it. I don't really know what kind of character I want her to be. I knew in my head I wanted her to be magical in some kind of way. And I also wanted her to just be full of life and energy. I think, on accident, I kind of gave her Pinkie Pie vibes because while I was drawing this, I was rewatching My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and Pinkie Pie is just my favorite character. You can see in this video that I do kind of struggle with getting the pose and proportions right. I'm still not entirely happy with it, or with this character in general, but I thought I might as well upload it anyway. You can see me struggling with the leg pose, and it just kind of looks unnatural, but I decided to just go with it anyways because I just wanted to get the idea of the character down and not worry too much about the pose or anything like that. So then I decided to give her some stripy socks, and you can see that the drawing is kind of slowed down here because I'm off looking at reference pictures on Pinterest. And then I decided I wanted to give her like a big rain jacket over her frilly shirt because I thought that would be really cute and add another layer of texture. So I did that, I thickened up the lines, and then I started drawing her face. Well, nope, then I moved her over a little bit because I wanted to have her, like, not halfway off the canvas. Then I started drawing a close-up of her face. You can also tell that this was just a bad art day for me. You know, sometimes you have good art days, sometimes you have bad art days. I was really happy with the mouth because the proportions looked good, but then I drew in the eyes and then it just didn't. I don't know if it was the shape of the nose or the position of the mouth, but for some reason she just looked kind of angry, and I that's not what I wanted. I didn't want my girl to look angry. So then I started sketching in the eyes, and it just got worse from there. I tried moving over the mouth and changing the size and kind of rotating it a bit, and it just didn't help. So I thought, okay, and then I erased the mouth and drew it in again, and somehow it was worse off the second time. I tried to push through by drawing in some teeth, but then she kind of looked like Catnap from Poppy Playtime or something. And then I tried moving that mouth around, and you can really just see that it just didn't come about. I tried giving up on the open mouth smile, and it looked a little better with the closed mouth. So I tried sketching in her eyebrows, and then she looked super mad for some reason, no matter what I did. So in the end, after a lot of consideration, I just erased this face and started over. It's very important in art sometimes to realize that even if you do put a lot of effort into something, sometimes it's just not going to turn out how you want it to turn out. So it's important in these situations to know, okay, I'm just gonna erase it and try again. You can also see that the drawing is kind of paused here for a second because I was looking up references of face drawings that I liked. So I could really get an idea of what I wanted to do because I'm not that great with like cheeks and face proportions and stuff, especially when I'm not drawing them just like full front face, which is what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to draw her just looking straight forward. I wanted to give her some personality. So I started sketching in another face. I made the nose a little less like big this time because I thought it would help, but I do want her to have like kind of a big cute crooked nose because I think that just would suit her. So if I ever end up drawing her again, I'm gonna give her a crooked nose. Then I sketched in the eyes, and I tried doing them like looking straight forward, but then she looked cross-eyed, so I doodled them over to the side. I made her eyes kind of scrunched up because of her cheeks. I tried opening the right eye more to match the left eye, and then I was finally starting to feel happy with it. I just ended up, in the end, I just ended up copy and pasting the other eye that I was happy with and then changing that around. Looking back on it, I'm not entirely sure why I did this because I do think the original right eye that I drew looked pretty good, but oh well. So then I drew in the neck and such and started to sketch out the shoulders and what kind of shirt I wanted her to have. I did that thing where I just cut her body off a little bit, tried to draw in her chest and the arm markings, and it kind of looked a little weird. And I also kind of realized that the head looked huge in comparison to the body after going back and looking at it for a bit. So I tried like moving the position of the arms and just staring at it, and then I kind of realized like, oh, her head looks huge. So I changed it. I moved it up. I upsized it and then redrew the neck, and then I was happy with it. So here you can see me start to draw in her big poofy hair. Again, this is really just like I've stolen this hair texture from Pinkie Pie, because I think it's so cute. I tried drawing little hearts in her eyes, but I ended up not liking that either, so I kind of just ended up not giving her pupils. I know it looks kind of weird, but I like it for her. I think it's kind of cute. Then I went and started to clean up the sweater part of the sketch on the other drawing, and the hands kind of cleaned up a little bit. And then again, you can just see the drawing pause because I just had to like step back and look at it for a while because I genuinely didn't know if I was happy with it, and I really wasn't, but I decided, oh well, and I moved on to the line art. I'm in Clip Studio Paint. I'm just using the default G pen. I think it's good. It has a little bit of texture. I like it. I also changed the background of the paper to stop being like a stark white because it was starting to burn my eyes at this point. It was very early in the morning when I made this, and I did want to see after I finished this drawing. So I started inking it in. You can tell my like line art style isn't very like, it's not clean line art. It's more of like a less messy sketch because I don't have the patience to not do chicken scratch line art. You can really see that I just make a bunch of tiny little marks instead of one clean one because my hands just are not precise enough for that. So after I did the face, I started trying to rough in the shapes of the hair, and I kind of made it go over one of her shoulders, and that just really looked cute and fluffy, so I liked that a lot. I also gave her a lot of like flyaway hairs, and then I started trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the sleeves. Here you can see that I'm really determined to give her like those puffy sleeves with a raincoat on top of it, like short puffy sleeves and then a raincoat, but I just ended up not being able to pull this off. So you can see, I'm finishing up the hair, but then you can see that instead of giving her a big raincoat, I just decided to make the shirt she's wearing into more of like a turtleneck jumper. I also kind of fixed up the shape of her chest because she kind of looked like one of those like badly proportioned anime dolls, and I didn't want her to look like that. I wanted her to look, like an actual real person. I also try to make her like not super thin, which is something I struggle with. I try and give my characters different body shapes. This one I tried to give her thicker hips, but it just didn't really work out. So if I do end up drawing another character for Eldrich High, I'll definitely work more on the body type. So now you can see me struggling with the hands. I just could not get them to a point where I liked the way they looked. It was the problem was when I tried putting the thumb in, it just like it didn't want to work. I don't know if it's because I should have had the hand facing the other way and had the thumb on the other side, but I kind of just gave up on it and made the thumb just a kind of pointy shape. So now I'm coloring in the skirt, which I thought was such a cute shape that I managed to give it. I'm really proud of it. Um, I still ended up inking the legs even though I don't like the shape of them. I don't know, something about it just makes it feel so artificial. Her legs seem like they're off. They don't seem to be posed right. But I didn't really want to redraw them because I was tired at this point and I kind of just wanted to finish the drawing. So I drew in the shoes and started doing lines in her little stripy socks. This was the only time I didn't chicken scratch the lines, and I just made them full lines. And I really struggled with this. I did not manage at all to keep the spacing even. So I turn off the sketch, I look at it and then I kind of decide that I don't want to do this raincoat idea anymore and end up just making the shirt she's wearing like a big jumper. I also, at this point, fix her chest because it looked weird to me. Then I go in with the face sketch and start lining that with a bigger brush because I wanted them to look proportional. I didn't want the face to have like tiny brush marks where you know what I mean. So I made the brush bigger and started inking it. I'm really happy. At this point, I was so happy with the way that it was looking. Uh, I was really worried that with the face, my inking would come out looking like a monstrosity, but um, it looked okay at this point in my head. So I started doing the hair and just with big shapes, and I didn't realize at this point when drawing it, but the big lines kind of like were a detriment to the art because then it just looks really clunky at the end once I turn the sketch layer off. I also, instead of having her wear like a low, like an actual t-shirt neckline, I changed it to be that like turtleneck. Uh, so I ended up thinking that looked good, and then I erased the sketch, and you can tell that I'm just like not happy with how thick the line art is. So I tried to add more like sketchy, stylized lines under the eyes and around the eyes and on the cheeks, but then those were too small, and you couldn't even really see them in the end. So I just kind of gave up on that, and I ended up cleaning up the line art a little bit so I could give it like a base color and I could fill it in. So I select everything that I've drawn around and then I invert it and then I just do a base color under everything. This is so when I fill in shapes, I can have them clip to the layer below and I won't have things being outside the lines because that's something I always struggle with when using the paint bucket tool. Obviously, I could just like color it in by hand, but I'm too lazy for that. So here I am starting to color in the rainbow socks, and I kind of realized that they didn't look good with that. Like, they didn't have enough stripes in them. So I tried like giving them less colors, but then I realized I wanted them to have a lot of colors, so I just drew in more lines so there could be more stripes. Again, they don't really look even whatsoever, but I think it adds charm. It adds character to her. We're gonna go with that instead of I was just too lazy to use a ruler or whatever. So once I had more stripes, I thought that looked good, and then I finally ended up coloring in the actual colors on the rainbow socks. I was very determined for her to have really colorful rainbow socks because the idea of that just makes me so happy. I love rainbow socks. And I tried to get the rainbow to repeat and not look weird transitioning into the next few colors, and it looked good, except for the fact that one of the socks has more stripes than the other, and I kind of had to like fudge it, and I just ended up being like, oh, well, it's because of the position of the legs. It wasn't, it was because I just didn't count drawing the stripes. So then I bucket tooled in her skin tone, took a step back to try and figure out what color I wanted everything to be. Uh, really wasn't sure about anything aside from the fact that I just wanted her to have pink hair at this point. So I tried giving her like teal blue eyes, but then they looked too green to me. And then I made them this light blue. I end up changing this to be less saturated in the end because it looks way too bright. It kind of looks like her eyes are glowing, which I think could be a cool character design choice, but I didn't want it for this girl. At least not before I render it. I ended up cleaning up the like bucket tool underpainting a little bit because it kind of went outside the actual bounding of the character. Uh, then I struggle for like 5 minutes to figure out what color I want her skirt and top to be. I ended up settling on this desaturated blue for the skirt and this pinkish color for the top. I then changed her skin tone a little bit because it looked too ashy and I wanted it to match my skin tone because this is like a personification of my character. I really liked her a lot when she had this darker olive color, but since I want her to just like represent me, I ended up having to change it because I'm white as a cracker. But I kept it from being just like super pale white because I didn't like that either. If I end up making another character for Eldritch High, which I definitely will do, I definitely want to make a darker skin toned character because I just think that with rainbows and bright colors just looks so good. I think it's why in all of the My Little Pony human fan art you see, Pinkie Pie is always black, which I like a lot. I love the headcanon of Pinkie Pie being chubby and black. So you can see here that I'm using like a stamp tool to add ruffles to the skirt, and then like this lace outline to the sleeves and neck of the top. You can also see that I struggle. I struggle greatly with this. It takes me like 20 attempts, and then I ended up figuring out that I could just like make the brush bigger, and then that worked. I also just like didn't really like how small the ruffles were, so I made a new layer and made the ruffles bigger. Obviously, since it's a stamp, it didn't look perfect, so I ended up going in with a brush tool and manually fixing it. You can see it had all this like pixelated texture that I tried to fix, but because I had it clipping down, it just didn't look that good. And then I realized, I made the lines too thick, so I went back in with the blue color, and then once I zoomed out, I realized that it was fine. Here you can see me desaturating the blue in her eyes because I realized they were just like way too bright. They hurt me a little. And we're getting to the end of it. I didn't end up rendering her today because I just didn't want to, and I wasn't too satisfied with her design, but I am satisfied enough to post it on YouTube and show it to you guys. So I really hope y'all like it, and have a great day.